Howdy folks, welcome to the channel. My name is Isaac West. I hope you're having a good time right now, and I hope that I can provide some good information to you through this video, or at least effective white noise. That's okay. I wanted to look at David Jiricek and some of his peers right now. The excuse I have for doing that and making a video out of it is because a couple weeks ago he voiced frustration about being sent to the AHL. Now, I imagine when a guy is demoted to the AHL, they're frustrated. I don't think there's many, if any, guy who says, yes, demotion, woo! I can't think of anybody who would be like that. Maybe there are a few. But Paul Vincent, the head coach for Columbus, he said it was to help Jiricek develop better, which absolutely happens. There's a reason lots of teams have players in the AHL, and it's the reason it's called a farm league, because it helps develop your players. I'm an Oilers fan. That's what we're doing with Broberg, and he's one of the guys I wanted to talk about a bit, even though I wouldn't call him a peer to Jiricek as much as some of the other guys, but we'll get into that. So that's the story right now. I put some quotes up there. I wanted to highlight what Jiricek said. So he told The Athletic after his demotion, he was after losing to Winnipeg, I should say first. Winnipeg beat Columbus 5-0, and as a result, Jiricek was a healthy scratch for 3 straight games before being demoted. So looking at that, it's like, oh well, Jiricek had a bad game. He's too young. Let him develop the NHL. But Jiricek doesn't agree with that, and I kind of am on Jiricek's side on here. I'll get into that in a bit, but I'll highlight Jiricek's quote here first. He told The Athletic, quote, "They told me the last game was not good enough for me. I told them I don't think so, but that's your opinion. I was out of the lineup after that." And he then continued, "I played good hockey in the NHL. I'm an NHL player right now. That's my opinion, that I should be in the NHL right now. I see guys from the same draft like Simon Nemec and Korchinski. They get a chance on the power play. They play a ton of minutes in the NHL. Those are different teams, so different situations. But I can compare with them. I just want a chance to play like that." Close quote. Totally understandable if you're a competitive guy, which if you're in the NHL you probably are. You want every chance you get. But you also have to know that you have to work to deserve those chances. I'm sure Jiricek understands that. And I think he thinks he's deserved that chances. And looking at the numbers, I'm inclined to agree with him. While as important as numbers are, it's also important to have an eye test. I don't have an eye test for Jiricek, so if you have watched him more than I have, I've only seen him for a couple of games, please let me know. Is there something I'm missing or not seeing? But I'm just going to be focused on the numbers right now. Also because I don't have the rights to look at NHL video and still monetize. But anyways, so before I compare Jiricek to how he's doing over the course of the season, let's look at that game. Columbus actually outshot Winnipeg that game 29-23. Part of it is because by the time the game was wrapping up, Winnipeg didn't need to continue shooting. They had a sizable lead, which grew and ended with a 5-0 lead. Now, even if you are the best team in the league and you're playing the worst team in the league, a lot has to go right for you to win 5-0. And Columbus isn't the worst team in the league, and Winnipeg isn't the best team in the league, but they're both pretty close to those extremes. And Tarasov, I'm not going to blame it on him because Winnipeg's pretty good. He's a young guy. I'm not going to say he's a bad goalie, but he didn't have a good game. He only saved 18 of 23, and his analytics stats aren't much nicer. Hellebuck, meanwhile, saved all 29 he got, put up another shutout, helped my fantasy team, so I was happy, but that's not the focus. I said that to point out that Winnipeg didn't outshoot and dominate Columbus. It was Columbus had a chance, and the best defensive line that they had, getting a lot of these stats from Money Puck, was the Provorov Jiricek line. They only played 12 minutes and 40 seconds together on even strength, but while they were out, Columbus controlled 78.6% of the shots. That's a ton. 87.6% of the expected goals. That's a ton. and both of those numbers were significantly superior to any of the numbers any of the other defensive lines Columbus had that played for over 2 minutes. So that's great. That's great for Jiricek. That's great for Provorov and your young guy. You kind of hope that you're not looking to a rookie to play with your number one defenseman. Well, I guess Werenski is, but he's been in and out due to health issues. But still, great for Jiricek. And Jiricek did say in the quote he thought he played good. And again, these numbers continue to suggest that. Looking at his numbers, in some of the more standard numbers, he, in his limited sample size, he played just under 16 minutes. He had 2 shots on goal, a hit, and a block. That's okay. Looking more at his analytics, he was second only to Provorov on Columbus in terms of expected goals for percentage and Fenwick for percentage at even strength, of course. Expected goals is, if you don't know, is a measure of quality shots. It's not perfect system, but this isn't a time for me to rant on how stats are measured and what I like and not. But it is a good system. It's a good way of measuring quality. And Fenwick for percentage measures the kind of how many shots, the quantity of shots that the team controls while you're on the ice. And Columbus was doing quite well while he was on the ice. And I also added penalty kill time because it's a good way of seeing how much Columbus trusts him on the defense, or at least in penalty kill, because there is a difference between even strength defense and penalty kill defense. And Jiricek only had 1 shift. It was 40 seconds long, and Winnipeg never had a shot while he was on during the penalty kill. Part of that is going to be situational. I didn't watch the game, so it might be because Winnipeg was just trying to kill the clock. But still, you can take that with pride and say, hey, Winnipeg never had a shot while I was on the penalty kill. And Columbus was much better. And part of that is because of deployment. Again, he was deployed with Provorov, who is going to be deployed more often with Columbus's top 6 than others. So, yeah, Jiricek isn't the reason that his numbers are so high, but he is part of it. He's a major part of it. And so, looking at it, yeah, I think he had a good game. Again, I didn't watch it, so if you did, I would like to hear what you think. But looking at it, looks like he had a good game and that Jiricek had a point. And then I wanted to compare him to, okay, well, how about his peers, the guys he's named? So in the 2022 draft, Jiricek was drafted 6th. There's 3 other defensemen who were drafted in the top 10 that year. Simon Nemec of the Devils, Kevin Korchinski of the Chicago Blackhawks, and Mintyukov of the Anaheim Ducks. Those 3 other guys are all playing significantly more than Jiricek. And yes, part of it is situational. Korchinski and Mintyukov are in a similar situation as Jiricek in that their teams aren't in Stanley Cup mode right now, to put it lightly, but still they are higher. Columbus isn't either. They're not going to be on a cup run. Anything can happen, but I don't think they're going to win the cup this year. I don't think that's crazy for me to say. And yet, Jiricek is limited to 15 minutes. Again, he does have. It's important. Well, not again. It's important to note that ahead of him on the depth chart is Werenski and Provorov, both very good defensemen. I like them both a lot. Korchinski doesn't have that competition. Say what you will about Seth Jones, but he's a decent defenseman overall. He's a whole other video we can go into, but Korchinski doesn't have the same kind of competition as Jiricek does, and neither does Mintyukov. Anaheim's defense has struggled mightily over the years and continues to. I think Gudas has been great for them, but he alone isn't going to make you a good defensive team. But still, even so, you would think Jiricek would have a bit more time, and he's not getting it. So I also put Broberg on there. I will come to Broberg, but I'm going to start with just those 4 guys from that 2022 draft. Looking at it, Nemec and Mintyukov offensively have enjoyed the most success. Nemec is at a point every other game, 13 points in 26 games, where Mintyukov is just behind that. He's at 19 points in 40 games. Korchinski is only at 9 points in 44 games, which is a little disappointing for the kind of time on ice he gets. But he's a young guy. Chicago's not on a cup run. It's all okay. It's good that he's getting that experience. Jiricek also has 9 points in only 36 games, which maybe is a little low for a guy who should be able to handle the puck, but he's learning, and it's coming with time. So that could be a knock on him and saying, well, he hasn't quite produced in points terms. Well, one, it's because he doesn't get any power play time, which he did mention, and I put that there. He only gets 2 seconds a game, whereas those 3 other guys I mentioned all get at least 1 minute, and Korchinski and Mintyukov get over 2 minutes a game. And says, well, he has to earn that spot. You're right. He's probably not going to earn that spot over Werenski or Provorov, but he can still have an opportunity because, again, it's not like Columbus is going to go on a cup run. And 9 points in 36 games is pretty good for a young defenseman. So in my looking at that, again, I'm not the coach. I'm not a hockey coach. But those numbers give me reason to say, hey, go ahead, especially when he had worked well with Provorov in only 12 minutes. It's not a huge sample size, but it worked well. He's also not trusted very much on shorthanded time on ice, but that's kind of standard for rookies. Nemec is getting close to a minute. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Dougie Hamilton's out, and good on Nemec. I think he's really stepped up for the Devils. Not that he's filling Dougie Hamilton's shoes or skates, but Hamilton's a pretty good defenseman. You're not going to ask a rookie defenseman to do that in year one. Looking at some analytics, Nemec has, well, I guess Mintyukov has the most impressive analytics. Those are his Fenwick 4 percentage, followed by how relative it is to the team. Mintyukov and Nemec are both over 50%, and good on them. Jiricek and Korchinski are both below 50%, which would be a knock, except the numbers that they have are kind of par for the course in relative to their team. In terms of physicality, Jiricek is the most physical guy there besides Mintyukov. He's also the tallest guy there besides Broberg, who, again, we'll get to. Jiricek is at 0.65 hits a game. Mintyukov's at almost doubled that. Blocks, not all three. There's more than 3 guys there. 3 of the 4 guys there I mentioned get a block game. Blocks aren't a perfect way to measure how good a guy is on defense, but it's nice. As a goalie, I appreciate when the defenseman in front of me gets a block. I appreciate it. I enjoy it. Speaking of goalies, at the end there, it has some flawed calculations because I don't have access to all the numbers, but the stat I created, it's the relative on-ice save percentage. So how good your goalies do while you're on the ice compared to when you're not. But I don't have any of the numbers to say what their actual, for example, in Jiricek's case, what was Merzlikins or Tarasov's save percentage when he's not on the ice. I don't have those numbers. I just have where their numbers are over the course of the season, and I also have access to where the numbers are when Jiricek's on the ice. So it's not perfect calculation, but still a good idea. Jiricek has the best numbers there. Columbus saves 3.3% more shots on the ice when Jiricek is there, which is notable. I would say super significant, but it's notable. Nemec is the exact opposite. Actually, a bit worse than the exact opposite, but New Jersey goaltending has been an issue all season. 2 years now, actually. So I'm not really going to put that on him. Korchinski and Mintyukov are kind of around average. Mintyukov's could be a bit better, but whatever. So looking at that, a lot of those numbers, I feel like, Jiricek is in a similar position to 2 of those 3 guys there, and he's playing as well as a few of those guys there, and I think he's deserved the opportunity to step up. The last guy I put there, is Broberg. I didn't just put him there because I'm an Oilers fan, but he did come to mind because I'm an Oilers fan. I just put his stats from this year. He's only played 10 games this year. Wasn't too impressive this year, but you can see that it'll come around. He's played much more than those 4 guys have. He's come around a bit slower because for a guy coming from the 2019 draft, but it's also very important to note that he's on the Oilers. We haven't needed him to be in our defense as much. Me and some other guys were hoping that he would replace Ceci, but Ceci's had a decent year this year. The whole defense has done very well as a whole. So we sent Broberg to the AHL because he complained that he didn't have enough ice time, and he was right. So he was put in the AHL, where he is a minute muncher down there, and this first row of bullet points there shows that he has 16 points in 24 games with Bakersfield. That's awesome. I'm happy for him. Jiricek has played 4 games. I should note all these stats were as of the weekend, so I'm sure all these stats have changed to a degree, but not in like a huge way that we can still talk about right now. But Jiricek is at a great point per game pace. He's got 3 points in 4 games. I also put Nemec there for reference, 8 points in 13 games. So Jiricek is playing very well in the AHL so far. He's as big or taller than most of the guys here besides Broberg. He's got good numbers, seemingly has good chemistry with Provorov. I'm of the opinion, give him a chance. Heck, we could even bring international stats into it. I would, of the point per game percentage, Nemec is in the first. He's got 0.9 points per game. I accidentally said percentage. You can ignore that. This is just for U20 World Junior Championships. But yeah, Nemec, 9 points, 10 games is great. After that is Jiricek, 0.6 points per game during those tournaments in 13 in 19 games. So he has excelled at his junior levels. He's excelled at the international level. So far, he's excelling at the AHL this year. He hasn't excelled in the NHL. Nobody expected him to. So, in my mind, I'm kind of looking at it, well, yeah, give him a chance. You keep him up there. If he feels like he's developing more up there, good for him. I think another good example that comes to mind because I'm an Oilers fan is Desharnais. He's a very different kind of defenseman. But last year when he came up, his puck handling wasn't good at all. It was pretty good for the type of defenseman he is, but it was still pretty bad. This year it's very much different. I don't ever worry when he has the puck anymore. I don't expect him to have a great stretch pass like Bouchard can do, but he's good with it now. And it took him time to develop while playing the NHL. He didn't develop that in the AHL so much. He is notably older than all these guys here. And despite all that AHL time, it wasn't until the NHL that he became more comfortable with moving the puck in the NHL, because the NHL is a different league than the AHL. Surprise, surprise. So that's my opinion looking at it. I think Jiricek has deserved the opportunity to keep playing on the not starting line, but in the NHL with Columbus. Because again, it's not like Columbus is going to go on a run. But at the end of the day, I don't watch all the games, as important as numbers are. The eye test is also important. I don't have an eye test of Jiricek. If you have an eye test of Jiricek, please let me know. I'm not a coach, so I'm not the genius here. I hope this is the right move for Jiricek's case. That'd be great, but I'm not totally convinced of that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hopefully they're positive. If not, that's okay. At least be constructive in your criticism. And I hope you have a great day. Please consider liking if I've earned it. If you've enjoyed me just for information or as white noise, I think that earns a like. And maybe even just consider subscribing. That would be awesome as well. Have a great night or morning wherever you're at in your day, and I'll see you later.